We have to make sound law around what is a digital asset and give it market structure. That is what we've needed for the last decade. The last 4 years have been proof that allowing the regulators to do this will lead to a reign of terror, not of innovation and capital formation.
Former chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, Patrick McHenry, has now joined the private sector, where he hopes to move the needle when it comes to crypto innovation in the United States. It was recently announced that he joined Ondo Finance as vice chairman and also took an advisory role at crypto investment firm A16Z. He's here to weigh in on crypto in Washington and the impact he hopes to make on the industry. Patrick, welcome to Markets Daily.
Hey, thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. Thanks for being here. Now, I got to ask you, we had a big event at the end of last week. We had the first White House Crypto Summit. Last time you and I spoke, we spoke about the changing conversations that are happening down in DC. But give me an update here. What are people talking about in DC? What did the Crypto Summit signal for you as we head deeper into 2025?
This is real. I mean, I think that's what it signals is this is real. It's not just electioneering, the difference in approaches to crypto. It is, in fact, going to be policy. And the policy will unlock American innovation and unlock the whole digital asset ecosystem for the United States. So it was a welcome sign that the president made this a priority, spent a significant amount of time with leaders in digital assets, and had them at the White House. It was a very, very big difference from the Gensler regime of attacking the world of crypto and threatening prison time. And then for them to go from crypto to go from that to being at the White House, welcomed by the president, is such a breath mint and a birth of a massive boom of fresh air.
You know, I asked Kevin O'Leary this on yesterday's episode. I'm going to ask you because maybe you'll have a different perspective here. But the markets didn't really react to this moment. And as you said, it is a really big moment for the crypto industry. It signals a big change if you look at, how the previous industry interacted with crypto folks. Why do you think that the markets didn't really do anything?
Well, because November was such a game changer. A lot of that's baked in. It's already baked into the market and the assumption that things are going to be fantastic. Now, Washington actually has to deliver. There is the statement by the White House, the show of White House attention to this, number one. Number two, the appointment of the regulators has to be Senate confirmed before they can get to work in changing the regulatory landscape in a significant way. And then three, you have to have a lasting law to ensure that we won't go back to what we had for the last 4 years of attacking the world of crypto. And making law will take more time. And so I think what the market is seeing is that this takes more time than just one event at the White House. And I think it's just realistic, frankly.
You are the person to comment on how long it takes to make law. You and I spoke about it at the Ondo Summit. I believe it was last month, but all the time just kind of melts together for me these days, but it was recently. So let's just get back to that conversation. We have the potential for a stablecoin bill. It sounds like that could happen sometime soon. We had former CFTC chair Tim Massad advised the Senate that, the market structure bill should be put aside. We should just focus on stablecoins and let the regulators kind of figure out what's going on before they address a market structure bill. What's your opinion there?
Now, let me start there. That is absurd. It's a stupid idea. We have to make sound law around what is a digital asset and give it market structure. That is what we've needed for the last decade. It is proof that the last 4 years have been proof that allowing the regulators to do this will lead to a reign of terror, not of innovation and capital formation. So we need clarity for consumer protection, for investor protection. We need clarity for investors and innovators to do it here in the United States. And the only way to have that is through a market structure law. That's number one. Number two, we have regulated stablecoins here in the United States. They're done through the states, the various states. The states have been the incubators here around innovation. And what the federal government needs to do is catch up here. This week, the House Financial Services Committee, in fact, today, the House Financial Services Committee has their first hearing on stablecoins, which will start the legislative process in earnest. I think we'll see a stablecoins bill move first in the House, but then followed quickly thereafter in the House by a market structure bill. But without a market structure bill, this election was not worth it for crypto. It will not have lasting and in fact, deep change, and will lead to elections determining the state of crypto for the foreseeable future, absent sound law. So we do need a market structure law, and we would benefit from a stablecoins law as well.
Now, I'm asking for your opinion here. I'm asking you to speculate, and if you're not comfortable, you just tell me that. But why do you think that Masad would advise the Senate to go this way? If, what you're saying makes sense. If you feel so strongly that we need the market structure bill first before we can advance.
Well, look, I think Tim is a very, very smart, capable person. But the fact is, he is a regulator. I'm a lawmaker. I see the benefit from law. And I see the benefit from law on a 20-year horizon, 30-year horizon. And regulators see it from week to week and year to year. And so I think stepping back, my perspective is the one more effective for the marketplace. His is more effective for the regulators to regulate and have more power. Congress has to step in, be very clear of the role of the CFTC, the role of the SEC, the role of the banking regulators. And only Congress can sift through that state of competitive forces among the regulators. Congress has to do that.
Friends, DeFi is having a moment. Uniswap Labs web app and wallet connect you to the excitement. Swapping and bridging are simple, low cost, and lightning fast across 13 chains, including Base, Arbitrum, and Unichain, the new Layer 2 network designed for DeFi. Thanks to deep liquidity on Uniswap Protocols, you get minimal price impact on every trade, now with even greater efficiency through Uniswap v4. Swap, send, on-ramp, off-ramp, and bridge into a bright future. Get started at uniswap.org. Now, on yesterday's Markets Daily episode, I've told you already, but we spoke to Kevin O'Leary, and the two things he said he was most excited about was stablecoins, which you and I just talked about, and the tokenization of equities, which I know that you are involved in now through your new position at Ondo. Talk to me about how you see the tokenization of equities moving forward, and if there are any regulatory hurdles from that perspective, since we're really just talking about using the technology here and, not introducing any potential new securities to the market.
Well, I think that's exactly right. And as I said, we benefit from a market structure law that will unlock digital assets writ large. Regulation can change in a very small and subtle way and unlock the tokenization of real world assets around securities primarily. Ondo is doing this first with the treasuries market, but this is to show the technology works and use that as an opportunity for global markets to be able to participate with American securities using the best technology available on crypto rails. And so this is a subtle software change, frankly, and a subtle regulatory change that can unlock tokenization of real world assets. That can be done through the regulators. And that can be done very quickly in the next couple of weeks, in fact, where market structure may take as long as a year to enact into law to help crypto writ large. And so I think all these things can exist. And different market participants are excited about different pieces, but that's also, quite frankly, their book. I'm excited about all of this for the state of crypto because the global perspective here, the unlocking of technology is going to require a stablecoin regime, a market structure bill, and then the regulators doing the rational things in their agencies to implement this in a digital first, digital native regulatory regime around crypto. And it's all very exciting.
Now, Patrick, help me make sense of something. I had some legal analysts on the show last week, and we were talking about the SEC walking back some of the crypto enforcement cases that were brought by the previous administration. But now we see state level regulators and attorneys general bringing about similar cases. And so how will regulation work once we have clear legislation. We have federal regulators, but then we have state regulators who may not agree with how the federal regulators are interpreting the legislation.
Sure. I mean, this is the complicated notion of American federalism. You have states that have certain powers, and the federal government has other powers. And absent the federal government having law and clear regulation, the states will take broad action. That's what you're seeing here. So in the absence of a clear law defining a digital asset and giving it primary regulators at the federal level, you're going to see more state action like this that will sow more confusion than we need here in the United States, and market participants and investors need. And so this is in the nature of the vacuum being filled by the states when the federal government doesn't act. And so that's another imperative to get clear law done at the federal level.
Now I want to talk about you. You have now gone from the public sector to the private sector. I know that you're advising a few different crypto related or crypto companies, I guess we can call them. Ondo Finance is one. I know you're an advisor at A16Z now. What's your hope? What kind of impact do you hope to make, I guess, on this side of the coin now?
Well, look, my views were pretty well established on crypto when I was in public office. Now I want to work with firms that are doing this, that are actually carrying it out. A16Z is the biggest crypto investor in the world, and the mightiest venture capital firm on the planet. There are a lot of great actors, obviously, as well, but I chose to affiliate with A16Z based off the quality of their people, the talent there. And then for Ondo, they're doing something that I think is the first wave of crypto innovation in a regulatory neutral environment. We're in a regulatory positive environment right now, so it makes this even more exciting. And for Ondo to have real examples of tokenizing real world assets, it makes it exciting to see these things happen in live time and to work with innovators. So it's been a lot of fun, a lot to learn, a lot more to do as well.
I got to ask you, do you think that the firms who have you as an advisor have a competitive advantage when it comes to influencing the conversation in Washington? But, as you and I have been talking, I feel like that's not really needed anymore. It feels like Washington doesn't need to be influenced. It feels like things are moving much faster, but I'd love to get your perspective there. Are you almost like the golden ticket to making things happen?
No, I'd love to be able to tout myself that by hiring me, I can unlock all things Washington. I think I'm pretty good, but I think the wins in our sales with crypto, the specifics do matter, and the specifics of law and regulation, getting it right really does matter. And so, yes, the wind is broadly in our sales, but the substance of the legislation, the regulations, still can be refined. And I'm going to be deeply engaged as much as I can in shaping that conversation so we can unlock the greatest potential possible. But thank you for the sales pitch on hiring me. I still have capacity.
Right.
I still have capacity and time for other innovators, and would love to work with them.
Well, there you go. I mean, maybe I should get a commission, but we could talk about that later.
Yeah,
I want to go back to the strategic Bitcoin reserve that was announced on Friday. We now know that the government has created a reserve, but they're not going to be buying more Bitcoin. Do you think that's something we'll see in the future?
Look, the president's made this a major statement, and I think the safest place here is Bitcoin. The federal government owns a substantial trove of seized Bitcoin, and we need to rationalize the ownership of that and when it's going to be when and if it's going to be sold. That's a clear thing for the markets. We do this in the securities realm. We should do that with Bitcoin and other digital assets as well. So I view it as a welcome sign that crypto's here and crypto's here to stay.
I have to ask you about the president's remarks about all American cryptos. And I may have asked you this the last time we spoke, but we have a little bit more clarity at the ones that he's looking at, Ether, Cardano, XRP, Solana. What do you think is behind coining these projects American?
Look, it's a president's style, a president's statement. He wants people to do business here in the United States, and he wants the country to be great. And so you see innovators that are from around the globe that want to be here in the United States and innovate. For the last 4 years, they ran away from the United States and tried to set up shop elsewhere where innovators were welcome in crypto. Now they're back. And I think he's trying to make that really a feel, right? The vibe that America is back and open for business. And I think that's how it needs to be viewed. Or rather than around the specifics of what's in, what's out, the broader statement that you went from an administration and regulators that were anti-crypto to a pro-crypto president who is leading the way. I think that's the big statement.
Now, as we've talked about, you're working with a few different projects, but before we wrap up here, what are some of the most exciting innovations you're seeing in the industry now? The people who watch the show really try to make sense of the news headlines and apply that to what they're watching. What would you tell them to keep their eye out for?
I think to keep their eye out on the state of the market structure bill. I think you have to have a market structure bill. I think it's an imperative to ensure that American innovation can last and can persist, right? I think that matters. And so the key thing here is whether or not decentralization is the central part of the market structure bill, number one. Number two, how we classify tokens and whether or not that is clearly outlined in law. That's number two. And I think those are the two biggest issues related to market structure. I think everyone needs to keep their eye on that. And without a market structure bill, it's going to be hard to invest for a 10-year time frame in the United States. So I think that needs to be the deep focus of the industry, is making sure that we make sound law.
Patrick, thanks so much for joining the show.
Jen, always great.